Welcome to Shadows of Deception, the podcast where we delve deep into real investigations that unveil the hidden truths lurking beneath the surface. I'm Kirk, the lead investigator at South Wales Private Investigations. Names and certain details in today's story have been changed to protect the identities involved, but the events are as real and compelling as they come. Every so often, a case lands on my desk that challenges not just my skills as an investigator, but also my understanding of human nature. This is one such story, a tale woven with tragedy, betrayal, and the relentless pursuit of truth. A few months ago, I received a late-night call. On the other end was Anna, a woman whose voice carried a mix of desperation and resolve. She was a figure of grace and strength, known throughout the community not just for her family's substantial wealth, but also for their philanthropic endeavors.
Anna Matthews here.
She began softly.
I was given your number by a trusted friend. I need your help.
I was fully aware and awaiting this call after the office had also passed my number on to her to contact me. Over the course of that conversation, Anna revealed the fractures in her seemingly perfect life. Just a year prior, she and her husband, Ken Williams, had suffered the devastating loss of their son, Daniel, in a tragic motorcycle accident. The aftermath had been harrowing. Their daughter, Emily, spiraled into a severe depression, battling suicidal thoughts as she grappled with her brother's death. Ken had become distant, his behavior increasingly erratic. Anna suspected he was having an affair with a woman named Nikki Lawson. But there was more. She feared that Ken's actions could have far-reaching implications for their family's future.
I don't know who else to turn to.
She confessed.
I need to know the truth, whatever it may be.
Our investigation began in earnest. Early one morning, under the cloak of dawn, I arrived at the Matthews estate, a sprawling manor nestled amidst the rolling hills within the county of Cotswold. The grandeur of the mansion contrasted sharply with the undercurrents of tension that seemed to emanate from within. At Anna's request, I conducted a comprehensive sweep of the property for any hidden devices. She feared that Ken might be monitoring her movements or conversations.
It's probably nothing,
She said as we walked through the dimly lit hallways.
but ever since Daniel's accident, I can't shake the feeling that something is terribly wrong.
Using specialized equipment, I scanned for bugs, hidden cameras, and any signs of surveillance. The hours stretched into the early morning, but I found nothing out of the ordinary.
"It's clean," I assured her, "but I'll be available if anything changes." She nodded appreciatively.
Thank you, Kirk. Your presence here helps more than you know.
Chapter 2: Midnight Call and the Tracker Mission. It had been a few days since the bug sweep at Anna's manor, and while I had started building a profile on her husband, Ken Matthews, there had been little movement on his end. We were keeping our distance, monitoring patterns and behavior, but nothing had yet justified further action. That was until the early hours of Thursday morning. Just after midnight, and I was fast asleep in my East Midlands home when my phone rang on the bedside table. Half asleep, I glanced at the caller ID, Anna. She knew I was available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, but a call this late meant something serious. "Hello?" My voice was rough from sleep or lack of.
Kirk, I'm so sorry to call you this late.
Anna's voice came through the phone, strained with stress.
I think Ken's taking his new girlfriend to France. I just saw an online payment for a ferry from Dover early tomorrow morning. I think he's staying at his sister's in Kent.
The urgency in her voice was palpable.
I need you to go there now. He's taking my car, the one I own. I want you to track him. Please, Kirk, I need to know what he's up to.
It didn't matter that I had been asleep or that the clock was ticking toward 1 a.m. When you tell a client you're available around the clock, you have to be ready for moments like this. I immediately agreed, no hesitation. I hung up the phone and nudged Charlotte, my colleague and trusted partner in these operations. "We've got a job. Dover, now." In minutes we were dressed and out the door, leaving Lichfield behind as we sped down the motorways, heading southeast to Kent. The journey was long, the rain relentless, and the clock ticking away faster than I'd hoped. By the time we reached the quiet road outside Ken's sister's house, it was almost 4 a.m.
As we pulled up to the street, something was off. Instead of the quiet, dark road we expected, the house was lit up like a Christmas tree. Music was blaring and it was clear there was a party in full swing. Not ideal. "Damn," I muttered. This was going to be more difficult than anticipated. It wasn't just about planting a tracker anymore. It was about doing it while Ken, his sister, and their guests were still wide awake, possibly looking out of the window at any moment. Charlotte glanced at me.
We need a cover story. If anyone spots us here, we can't just say we're wandering around Kent at 4 a.m. without a reason.
I considered it for a moment. We'll pretend we're looking for our cat, Thumper. Say we just moved in and the cat got out. It's plausible enough. She nodded in agreement, and I reached into the back of our vehicle, searching for a prop. Charlotte's oversized handbag with a long shoulder strap caught my eye. Perfect. I wrapped it around my hand like a leash, placing the tracker in my pocket. "All right, let's get this done," I said as I stepped out of the car, pulling my hood up against the rain. "Thumper, Thumper," I muttered softly to myself as I walked up the dimly lit road, rehearsing the act in my head. As I approached the driveway, my heart raced. This was the most critical part, getting the tracker onto Ken's vehicle without being seen or triggering any suspicion. His car was parked under a CCTV camera, which I knew would be recording his every move, unless I had one shot at this. I pulled out my phone, accessing a vulnerability in the house's Wi-Fi network. Ken's sister had never bothered to change the default password on her router. A few quick taps, and I temporarily knocked the CCTV system offline. It wasn't perfect, but it would buy me a few crucial minutes. I moved quickly. The rain was pouring down now, covering any sound my footsteps made as I crept toward Ken's vehicle. Just as I knelt down to attach the tracker to the undercarriage, the front door of the house swung open. A large, heavy-set man with a shaved head stepped out and immediately spotted me.
"What the hell are you doing?"
My heart pounded in my chest, but I didn't flinch. With the tracker safely attached to the car, I stood up, the cat leash still wrapped around my hand. "Oh, sorry, mate," I called out, feigning surprise. "I'm just looking for my cat. Thumper, just moved in down the road. Little bugger ran off when I opened the door earlier. Have you seen him?" I watched him closely, every second tense. I didn't know if he bought the story, but I couldn't back down now. The man's chest was puffed up, his stance wide. He looked ready to swing, and if Anna was right, Ken was a black belt, which meant he could be dangerous. The man eyed me for a moment, then his posture softened slightly.
"Nah, haven't seen any cats around here. But you can check the back garden if you want." He gestured toward the side gate of the house. "Might have wandered in there."
I thanked him, grateful for the cover story working in my favor, and followed him around the side of the house. As we reached the back garden, I got a clear view through the large patio doors. Inside, I saw 3 people, 2 men and a woman. One of the men was lounging on the sofa, Ken. The woman was Ken's sister, and the large man beside me was his brother-in-law. But there was no sign of the mysterious new girlfriend. "Thanks for your help," I said, backing away from the garden. "I'll keep looking." He nodded and headed back inside. I walked calmly back to Charlotte, who was waiting in the car. "It's done," I said quietly, feeling the weight lift from my shoulders as I got back into the passenger seat. "Let's get out of here." We drove off, heading out of the private road and making our way back home and to safety, rain still hammering down on the car. I activated the tracker, checking the signal and confirming it was working perfectly. Ken wouldn't know what hit him. As we drove home, I couldn't shake the thought of what was coming next. Ken was slippery, but now I had his movements under surveillance. The pieces of the puzzle were coming together, and soon I'd have enough to give Anna the answers she desperately craved. But for now, the mission was a success. Ken may have been on his way to France with his new girlfriend, but we were already one step ahead. In this line of work, timing is everything. And when you're up against someone as dangerous as Ken, every second counts. The game was far from over, but Anna now had the upper hand, and that's all we needed to bring the truth to light.
Chapter 3. Unmasking the Truth. After only a few hours of much-needed sleep following our long night in Kent, I woke up and instinctively checked the tracker we had placed on Ken's car. To my surprise, the vehicle was now back at his home address in the Cotswolds. Confused, I called Anna to update her. She'd been tracking Ken's movements on her own too, and had seen no signs that he had gone to France. The ferry tickets she mentioned in the midnight call were a dead end, or so it seemed. For the next week, we silently observed Ken's movements. His vehicle took him to a series of luxury hotels and high-end restaurants. At least once a week, we noticed the car parked at a different address, a house in a quiet, affluent neighbourhood just outside Bath. He would spend several evenings there, each time claiming to Anna that he was away on business trips. It didn't take long to connect the dots. Using OSINT tools and databases, we cross-referenced the address and confirmed what we already suspected. It belonged to Nikki Lawson, Ken's new mistress. His supposed work trips were nothing more than romantic getaways, and this new woman had been entrenched in his life for far longer than Anna had thought.
Each week, per Anna's request, we compiled our findings. She had asked us not to drip-feed her information. Too much detail too soon would be overwhelming. Instead, we provided structured weekly reports, each more damning than the last. As we built a more complete profile of Ken's life outside his marriage, Anna called with another breakthrough. She had just purchased a new phone for Ken, something she had done as a peace offering after one of their many recent arguments. That phone was now our way into his digital world. With Anna's approval, I remotely accessed the device and installed a sophisticated remote access tool, RATI. From that moment on, we had complete access to Ken's phone, his calls, texts, emails, even his camera and microphone. Whenever the phone connected to 3G or Wi-Fi, it was as though we were in the room with him. We could see his plans, hear his conversations, and ultimately track his every move. Over the next week, Charlotte and I listened in as Ken's lies unraveled. He told his new mistress about plans to leave Anna, boasting about the nearly £3 million he intended to move into an account his wife didn't know existed. He spoke with confidence, as if everything was under his control, unaware that we were already tracing the funds. I brought in one of our financial specialists, someone with deep knowledge of complex asset movements and money laundering schemes. They began to trace the transaction pathways, following the money Ken was trying so hard to conceal. It was clear Ken had set up a network of accounts, some offshore, to ensure Anna would be left with as little as possible when he made his move. As all this unfolded, I kept Anna informed. Carefully, of course. Each piece of information had to be presented delicately, given the emotional and financial weight of the situation. Despite the stress, she remained focused, knowing that uncovering the truth was the only way to protect herself and her assets. Then came a crucial night in our investigation. Through the surveillance on Ken's phone, we learned he was planning a night out with Nikki at a popular venue, a high-end cocktail bar in Bath. This presented us with an opportunity. Charlotte, who not only manages the honey trap side of our business but is also one of our best undercover operatives, was brought into action. The plan was simple. Charlotte would casually bump into Nikki, strike up a conversation, and get closer to Ken's inner circle. If we could gain Nikki's trust, we could get more direct information about Ken's next steps. Dressed for the part, Charlotte entered the venue, blending in effortlessly with the well-heeled clientele. Her experience in undercover work meant that she could adjust her persona on the fly, reading the room and positioning herself just right to catch Nikki's attention. It didn't take long. Within minutes, Charlotte had started a casual conversation with Nikki at the bar, both women bonding over shared interests and the night's atmosphere. Drinks flowed, but Charlotte, ever professional, had perfected the art of subtly spitting her drinks back into the glass, ensuring she stayed sober and alert on the job. Soon after, Nikki invited Charlotte to join her and Ken at their table. Ken, oblivious to Charlotte's true identity, was introduced as Nikki's partner. They chatted easily, Ken regaling the women with stories about his business ventures, while Charlotte played the perfect role, pretending to be fascinated. The rapport between Charlotte and Nikki deepened over the course of the night, and by the end, Nikki had given Charlotte her number, suggesting they meet for coffee sometime. It was the perfect inn. Charlotte had been invited into Nikki's home, which gave us even more access to Ken's world. What neither Ken nor Nikki knew was that this meeting would lead to their unraveling. We now had a direct line into their private life, a chance to gather even more evidence of Ken's deceit, his financial manipulations, and his plans to leave Anna high and dry.
The plan was unfolding with precision, and the pieces were falling into place. With every new connection, every new piece of information, we were tightening the net around Ken. He thought he had it all figured out, but little did he know we were several steps ahead of him. What would come next would be the culmination of weeks of hard work, tracking movements, following the money, and now infiltrating his closest circles. The lies he told Anna were now fully exposed, and soon she would have everything she needed to confront him and protect herself. But there was still work to be done. The game wasn't over yet.
Uncovering the truth is never easy. It's a delicate balance between gathering evidence and protecting those who have entrusted us with their most personal secrets. But in this case, Ken's house of cards was collapsing, and we were there to make sure nothing went unnoticed. In the next chapter, we'll delve deeper into Ken's financial schemes, the lengths he's gone to conceal his actions, and the steps Anna will take to regain control of her life. Until next time, I'm Kirk with Shadows of Deception. Stay vigilant, stay safe.
Thank you for joining us for the first 3 chapters of Shadows of Deception. The web around Ken is tightening, and the full truth is on the verge of being revealed. But there's so much more to this story that's yet to unfold. His secrets, financial manipulation, and betrayal are coming to light, piece by piece. But how will Anna take control of her life once the truth is laid bare? To find out what happens next, make sure you don't miss part 2. In our next episode, we'll dive even deeper into Ken's financial schemes, the lengths he's gone to in concealing millions, and the critical steps Anna will take to regain control over her future. We release real-life investigation stories like this twice a week, taking you inside the cases that make you question everything. So, if you want to stay ahead of the twists and turns, hit subscribe now and be the first to hear the next part of this investigation. Trust me, you won't want to miss it.
Shadows of Deception is brought to you by South Wales Private Investigations. Names and personal details have been altered to protect the privacy of those involved. For real-life investigative stories, or if you need assistance uncovering the truth in your own life, visit our website at southwalesprivateinvestigations.co.uk.